Hi, it's Tracy from Two Rocks Tarot, continuing on with my series of tarot tips and tricks. So as I've said before, this is all the things that I wish I had known when I first started reading the tarot all those years ago. So today we're going to be touching on guidebooks, which is a bit of a, not really a contention, but it's a bit of a sort of a sore spot, I suppose, when it comes to tarot reading. A lot of people believe that you shouldn't need a guidebook at all, and this is probably true if you're reading professionally. There's nothing worse than I remember going actually to a Hillary's Boat Harbour, and there used to be a big huge crystal shop in there, which is now very, very small, and they used to have tarot readers there. And there was this one guy who was charging like $60 an hour, and I just happened to walk past and you could kind of see through the curtain a little bit, and he was actually looking up the meanings while the client was in front of him. Big no-no for me. You shouldn't need to do that when you're actually reading professionally. But of course, when you first pick up a tarot deck, you've got no idea what any of the images mean. Unless you are very super intuitive and you can just pick up, you know, you just look at it and all these messages come to you. That's fantastic. So, of course, personally, when I first started, I did have books to learn from. My very first one, which I haven't got any longer, was Nancy Guerin's Tarot Your Way. And what she actually did is she had a picture of each single card in the book, and then she would have a whole list of, so what this card would mean in love, work, career, people. You know, it was quite a comprehensive list of all these particular meanings. So, as of now with guidebooks, I don't use guidebooks, but the only reason I really like a guidebook is if the artwork is different. So if a tarot deck creator makes a completely different type of tarot deck, and you have a look at the little book that comes with it, and it's just the Rider-Waite meanings to it. You know, they haven't touched anything whatsoever on the actual artwork they've used. That is a really big pet peeve of mine. I absolutely hate it. Now, the Hush Tarot is a beautiful deck with what I've done a walkthrough. This book, his book, is really good because each meaning he actually touches on the artwork that he's used for the particular card's image, and you know, so for instance, the Ace. All right, so here's the Ace of Cups out of the Hush Tarot, and just to give you an idea of what I mean. So he's got upright meanings, fresh start, healing. The little bird sings its songs as the new day begins. He is perched within the remains of the past. The crown is the gift of what is to come next. And then he's got a reverse of numb and vulnerable, and then a little quote of life's ups and downs are leaving you drained and opened to attack. So this is what I mean about having a guidebook that actually reflects the artwork that is used to represent the particular image of the card. So in this case, the Ace of Cups. So, you know, that's why that's what I look for. If I'm going to use a guidebook, that's what I want to see in it. I don't want to have, you know, a beautiful you know, image like this and like this one, and it's just got the Rider-Waite meanings associated to the deck. That is so disappointing to me. So that's what I mean about having a guidebook, you know, to reflect that. Now, if you are somebody who would feel better having some books to learn with, so if you're not super intuitive but really attracted to learning how to read the tarot, I'll give you a couple of books that you know, were good for me, because like I said, I did start off with books because I knew nothing about it. This is absolutely fabulous. The Complete Idiot's Guide to Tarot and Fortune Telling. This book was published way back in 1999. I do believe there's an updated version of this. This is really good because it really goes down to the nitty-gritty. It's got a list of what of all the symbolism in the tarot and what it means, such as banners and birds, a cat. So cat, it's got the psychic mysteries of life, chain, self-imposed restriction. So, you know, it's got a whole list of things like that in it. It starts with the journey of, you know, of the major arcana. It's akin to, they used to call it the Royal Road. That's how it used to be described years and years ago. And each step that you take with it, it's just a really good book, and it's got a fantastic timing. This is how I learned timing, through this, using the double Celtic cross. It's got timing and numbers, so A's through 10 is 1 to 10 days, weeks or months, depending on the card. So for them, the cups represent days, the wands, weeks, pentacles, months, and swords are undetermined. It's up to you because you're working it out in your mind. And this, all these years later, I've used this way of timing when I want to time something in the tarot. It's absolutely fabulous. Even if you just buy the book to learn about doing the double Celtic cross, do it. But it's really, really a fantastic book. I do recommend it, even though, you know, it's got the Complete Idiot's Guide. It really, really is a good book. Another couple of decks that I really, truly wish had been around when I started out is Dusty White's The Easiest Way to Learn Tarot Ever, and Advanced Tarot Secrets by Dusty White as well. The reason why I like this particular book is because what he does is he'll say, so with this one, it's got the 6 of Pentacles. He'll, you know, go through the meaning, but then on the other side, it's got what it means to you. So it goes, what is your interpretation? What does the card say to you? Does it say to you when it's reversed? If you saw this card as an end result, what would you say to your client? How would you use this card as an affirmation helper? What other feelings, impressions, or uses do you want to note about this card? So that's why I like this particular book, because it is asking you what the card means to you. So he'll do the whole spiel of, you know, of what the traditional meaning is, but then again, it's got now it's your turn. So for instance, for the Ace of Wands here, I've written down what other feelings. So I've got a helping hand, out of the blue opportunity, but also I've got house in the hills and countryside. That's not something that's really associated with wands, except maybe the countryside. There's no house in there that I can see, but that's just something that popped to me, and this is the best way to explain it of how I'm an intuitive reader, how I am I'm a purely I've lost my train of thought. I purely read the image on the card. I'm a pictorial reader. That's what I'm trying to get out. So, you know, I'll look at the Ace of Wands. Now, on that particular day, and I can't remember, I think I've had this book for years as well. But for me, when I looked at that card, a house in the hills and the countryside was what was more prevalent to me. But now when I look at it, I'm really attracted to the river in it. So every time I look at the card, it means something different. I can never have the traditional meaning of the card. I very, 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 very rarely use it when I do readings. But if you're really wanting to learn the traditional way, but also learning about what the card will mean to you, I highly recommend these two books. They are absolutely fantastic. They're in a league of their own. I've never ever seen a guidebook that actually does that, you know, that actually will give you the traditional meaning, but ask you what the card means to you yourself. That's what I love about it. So they're probably my top 3 books if you're wanting to learn about tarot cards. And also, there's another book, and I've left it on the bookshelf. I'm just going to go and grab it. Hold on a sec. Bear with, no, actually I'm going to pause it because I'm wearing daggy old shorts. This is a great book for learning combinations, for learning what certain cards mean together. This is Tarot for the Green Witch, written by Anne Mora. She has been a solitary practitioner of green witchcraft for more than 40 years, and I have got a couple of her other books. And what she's actually done is, starting off with the Pentacles, can you see that? Quick Guide to Pentacle Pairings. She's done this with every single card in the deck, every single card, including the major. So if you get the Ace of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles together, strong commercial success and prosperity. 2 of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, harmonious partnerships brings commercial success, prosperity, or promotion. And it goes on in that vein with every single card. I found this book, and because it looks from a green witch perspective, I found this book really, really good for helping me to learn combinations, what certain cards meant together. Of course, I don't need it anymore, but it helped me expand my brain and to really look at the cards. And now when I look at certain parents, I think, oh no, that doesn't mean that for me. And that's fine. But to get you started, I found this book invaluable because it was really hard. I mean, everyone's been there when you first do your first spread and you look at all the cards and you think, oh God, what the hell do those two mean together? This really does help shed some light on that particular aspect of tarot reading. So, you know, they're probably the 4 books that I recommend the most if you're wanting to go out and learn the tarot. Now, I'll do an honourable mention. I have got Tarot for Yourself by Mary K. Greer. I didn't really find that super helpful. I found it too technical and too deep to go into. I did work through the book. I did get a couple of answers I really, really wanted to know, such as all pressing, will I get married again? And I did predict that I would, and it was exactly a year to the day when it happened, so that was quite amazing. It is a good book, but it's very technically minded. I found these ways much more intuitive to the way I read. Other people rave on about that book, so you might want to have a look at that one as well. And that's probably about it for the books. Now, I also wanted to talk about a book that is a league of its own, and this is The Phantasmagoria by Ian Daniels for the Vampire Tarot. This book is freaking amazing. It really is one of the best books that I have ever come across when it describes the artwork in a tarot deck. It really goes into everything. So what it does, it goes into the alchemy of the deck, the kindred spirits, so which particular, and so this is the moon card, so which particular deck will, which particular other cards in the deck sort of marry together with the moon card. So it's got the Child of Suns, the Mighty Anubis, and Medusa. It's also got the essence of the deck, so facing our shadows, illusion and fantasy, imagination, so forth and so forth. It's got the message of the actual card itself. It's got the analysis and symbolism of the actual of the card that it's talking about, and then it's got the shadow side of it. It is truly, absolutely amazing. It really, really is. Okay, so here's a Vampire Tarot. So this is the backs of this absolutely gorgeous deck. I've edged this in a real blood red colour, which is because this was actually fairly chipped because I've used it quite a bit. And just to give you what it looks like, this is the Chariot. Got the 3 of Wands, 3 of Sceptres as it's called in here. So, you know, he touches on everything in the artwork. Just absolutely everything in the book. It's just beautiful. It truly is a great deck. So let's give you a example out of the book. I'm not going to read the whole lot because it's too much. So we'll look at the 4 of Skulls. So let's find the 4 of Skulls. That's Grails, Sceptres. Skulls are Pentacles, I'm pretty sure. Okay. So for the alchemy on it, he's got the sun in Capricorn. I'll just move that back so that's there. You can see that. Mercury, mercy of earth, structure of material form, kindred spirits is Kukwai and Menadil. So let's have a look. I just want to go how he talks about the actual. So the card, this is the analysis and symbolism of the card. So this card shows 2 figures standing on the solid defences of their fortress. The male vampire represents the fiery aspect of power, potent, willful and steadfast. The female illustrates measured control and reflection of energies that do not adhere to our will. Both these aspects of power are evident in the card. The card contains the 4 elements in an ordered structure. This means that the power we employ can be from our will, emotions, thoughts, or form. It is unclear which vampire is in command. In reality, it is a binding of these different elements that creates the impenetrable fortress. So, you know, it just goes on and on in that vein. But, you know, he touches on every single aspect that's in the card. That is what I love about a good guidebook when it comes to the tarot. There is nothing worse when you buy a deck, you know, that has these wonderful images in it, and it gives you the right of way meanings. It's sacrilege. It really is. This is an awesome book, and you know, even if you're not all that fond of the cards, I mean, just read it and it'll open your mind up into other ways. So when I do use this deck, I still do read it intuitively, but I love to look at the guidebook to see if there's something in it that I've missed, you know. It is an absolutely fabulous book. It really, really is. Another book that is good too is the Bonefire Tarot. I like this book because Gabby actually does, so it's got a coloured picture of all of the cards in there, and she actually goes in about, you know, it speaks exactly of her artwork. It is a fool. It's got this, find this young lady skipping. She's also at the back. What I really love is, if I can find it. And she's got some spreads. She's got, I think there's a whole list of, yeah, here we go. So she's got a whole glossary of A to Z of all the symbols in the camera's gone all blurry. Let's see if I hold up a card to try and get it back in focus. I might just pause it for a sec. As I was saying, it's got an A to Z glossary of of all the symbols in there. So for instance, she's got acorns, from little acorns big oaks grow, Ace of Spades, death before dishonor, alchemical air, the universe is mental, balloon, container for spirit, to lighten your load, unbearable lightness of being. So she's written, you know, in this book, she's written everything on all the symbols that she uses in her tarot deck. So that's another sort of a guidebook that stands out for me. So I've got around, so in my cabinet that you can sort of see in the back there, I've probably got, I don't know, maybe 30 or so decks in there. They're the ones that are in my bags. And the shelf behind me is all the boxes that you can see, and the shelf above it, I've got other tarot decks. So I think I've got around 60 now, because I did get rid of a lot of ones that I weren't using. And really, you know, these are the guidebooks that stood out to me. Is two of them. So it's very, very rare to get a really good guidebook, now, when you buy a tarot deck, which is really unfortunate. So when you are looking for a tarot deck, and if you are someone who does like guidebooks, try and see if you can find a little bit of an expert or excerpt, I think it's called, on the internet, and see if the guidebook speaks to you. If you are someone who cannot read intuitively yet when it comes to the tarot, if you like to have, because I mean, there's a lot of people that just read the Rider-Waite way, and that's the only way they will read a tarot deck, no matter what type of tarot deck it is. Personally, I feel that you're missing out on things if you use that particular system for every single deck that you use. But everybody is different, and there is no right and there is no wrong way to read the tarot. That's why I wanted to make these series. If that's the way you like to read, then so be it. That's that's the right way for you. Actually, I should point out there's another book that's quite good too, is the Mary L. That's a completely different genre of its own as well. But I find that way too religious for me. So I just read it intuitively as well. That's just how I read. I just read intuitively. I don't read with guidebooks anymore. But I wanted to point out a few guidebooks that stood out to me. And that if you are looking for a guidebook, I still think that the easiest way to learn the tarot ever by Dusty White, and what was the second one called? Advanced Tarot Secrets, are two of the best books that you can learn with when it comes to learning the tarot. So that's it for another week, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Please press the like and subscribe button if you do. And until next time, this is Tracy.